Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Connell here in the Weather Impact Weather Center. You know, we have our eyes this morning on developing weather for the weekend. We've seen the cold air push in and across the area. Downtown, the Ameren Thanksgiving Parade underway. At least it's dry, right? Our roads have been dry. This is out in St. Charles. There are some breaks in the cloud cover, so that's essentially a good thing for us. But you see, traffic's not too bad here. That's also a bonus for us. Here's your forecast for the rest of today. We may be a little bit optimistic on making it partly cloudy to mostly sunny. Actually, we just skipped right ahead to the 7-day forecast, which that's okay too, because we do have that weather impact on Saturday coming because of the potential for snow. And that may impact you at the Enterprise Center. When the Blues come back to town on Saturday, there may be just a little snow across the St. Louis area. This is not a big snowstorm for St. Louis, but it would be our first. And it's during the day on Saturday. Temperatures are above freezing. There's a lot of things that could go wrong, but probably won't with this storm. So you're looking at it, Lambert, right now. The biggest problems are going to the East Coast today for travel. Everybody else is looking pretty good. There's over in Highland, Illinois right now, downtown Highland. They'll be set this weekend for the big parade there. So our timeline of changes. This really hasn't changed much, but we are in the midst of the changes right now. We felt that yesterday with the rain during the afternoon, evening hours spreading through the region. It wasn't huge amounts, slowed traffic a bit, but we did not have major problems. And now this morning we are dry, we're colder, it's a bit breezy. Temperatures today, they're going to struggle to get back into the lower 40s this afternoon. Tomorrow does look mostly sunny, but even with sunshine, the air is still cold. We're in the 30s. Saturday, our potential weather impact here, we are going to have most likely a dusting to an inch of snow. It comes during the day, so you know you're fighting with temperatures being at or above freezing while it's snowing. And you're also daytime hours getting some of that solar insulation. The ground's not particularly cold. So our anticipation is this isn't going to be a major problem on roads, but would stick to the grassy surfaces and maybe untreated surfaces, but certainly main roads. If MoDOT and IDOT and your county crews throw down a little salt, I think will be great on Saturday. And again, unless it snows really hard, and we don't see that, it doesn't seem to be a problem. But what that system does is it reinforces the cold air that's across the region. And so Sunday, some of us will be down into the teens. Monday morning, some of us will be down into the teens. So for the weekend, measurable snow is likely, mainly during the late morning into the late afternoon hours for St. Louis. The probability of an inch or so is about 40 to 50% now. Dusting to an inch likely, and there could be a few narrow bands with maybe 2 inches or maybe even 3 inches. I would suspect they'd be to the north of St. Louis, but that's assuming all those ingredients come together for that to happen. And that's a pretty big assumption at this point. Now, we did drop down to 33 degrees, and we're just kind of holding flat without much sunshine now around St. Louis. There's still low clouds up to the north, up in Iowa. They're trying to drop southeast. So it's this battle between clouds breaking up and mostly cloudy skies hanging in. We do think temperatures are going to stay in the 30s most of the day today, with a high temperature close to 40, maybe 42 in St. Louis. Your afternoon temperatures do remain on the chilly side, given that northwest breeze and the clouds that are in and out across the region. So today, 42 at best. Tomorrow, chilly day, forecasting a high of 37. Saturday, some snow. It's the first of the year. Although a few of us saw a couple of wet snowflakes yesterday, this on Saturday, it's cold enough from the ground all the way up into the clouds that it should be mainly snow. But it's not going to be like the snow they're seeing in interior sections of the Northeast today. They're getting some heavy snow across parts of New York State. Of course, if you were watching or have been watching the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade, it is not a really pleasant day in New York City. They are getting some pretty decent rain right now, and that's going to continue through the remainder of the parade there. But it's nice inside for the National Dog Show, right? So this system's exiting. That's where most of our flight delays would be today into the Northeast. And some lake effect snow's kicking up too. We're not going to get anything like that. East of Cleveland, the lake effect snow belts really ramp it up here over the next couple of days. We look to our north and west. Lots of disturbances here to the north and west. We add in the jet stream winds. There's several of these disturbances, we're in this northwest flow aloft. You get the dip in the jet stream. You get disturbances that come rumbling out of the northwest here, dropping down into our region. Each one of these disturbances slides in. It's clipper type systems. They move very quickly. The one that comes on Saturday is very fast moving. It has very limited moisture. So what moisture is available, it's going to try to squeeze that. That energy tries to squeeze that moisture out, and it will be cold enough that it all comes in the form of snow. So let's set the scenario up. One system exiting here along the east coast going into New England. We watch back to the north and west. Lake effect snows start kicking up for sure. That doesn't impact us. But we watch as that energy starts coming out and dropping out of Canada, and we start to see an increase in the cloud cover by Friday night to our north and west. Again, a limited moisture system and a fast mover. But as it heads our way, 6 a.m. Saturday until 6 p.m. Saturday, periods of light snow can be expected. It'll start to the west, spread to the east. So what does that mean? What kind of impact is that going to have for us? Well, since temperatures are expected to be around or perhaps even above freezing, and most of this falls during the day, it doesn't look particularly heavy. We're thinking roads mainly get wet. In fact, for the initial part of this, it may not even stick to the roads. It may just blow off for the first 1/10 or 2/10 of an inch, and then after that start sticking a little bit in spots or melting because the ground temperatures are still above freezing. So even though we get below freezing tonight, we're in the 20s tomorrow night, it's not like the ground that's been unusually warm for November is going to cool off all that fast. So slower travel, that's a given. That happens when we get wet roads. But does it look like it's enough for a weather impact alert? Right now, I wouldn't say it does. I think it's going to be enough to give many of us a nice dusting, make things look festive, if you will. But as we head towards 9 or 10 o'clock on Saturday, that's when this is going to push in. And again, since it's fairly steady, perhaps there's a band where there's some heavier snow. If that develops, well, in those very thin, narrow bands, there could be some spots that get 1.5 inches or maybe 2 inches, especially on the grass. And while it's coming down, it could create some slushy spots. But again, keep in mind, temperatures are expected to be above freezing here. Not by much, but above freezing, and the ground temperatures aren't that cold, and it's winding down as we head towards dark on Saturday evening. So this is kind of our snowfall map that we've kind of tossed together here with that band of maybe 1 inch or so trying to slice into St. Louis. Again, that's over a 6 to 12 hour period. It doesn't all come in 2 hours. It's spread out for a long time, which means you have the opportunity for that to kind of melt or blow off the roads or both, and therefore have very little impacts. It's not snowing so hard that a little salt on the roads will go a long way for this kind of scenario. Just don't see this as being a big problem. Maybe in the other areas around that band, it's up to 1 inch, which also means potentially 0. So I think our maximum really doesn't look to be much more than 2 inches if we even see that. But I think most of us adjusting to 1 inch. Most of our area will fit into that. And again, it's over the entire, from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. It's a 6 to 8, 12-hour period where you're looking at the potential for all that accumulation. So that in general doesn't lend confidence to there being impacts on the roads. Other than the roads getting wet. So the potential for accumulation. We like to look at things in a probabilistic way. What does that mean? Well, if I tell you there's a 83% chance that we're going to have 1/10 of an inch of snow, which means it's measurable, that's the point we have to get to, you're going to say, well, that sounds like it's a pretty good bet. Exactly. And so that's why we think, the dusting up to maybe 1 inch, we're now 50% on the chance for 1 inch of snow in St. Louis. Maybe we get a little more than that. There's a 29% chance we get 2 inches, a 5% chance we get 4 inches. So obviously, as we go more than 1 inch, your chances do start dropping off. But we also have to take into account the fact that temperature is going to be above freezing, and some of that's going to melt. So the computer models that we use are just spitting out snowfall and making assumptions. So we have to make a few assumptions ourselves. And right now, with that high of 35, which I would say at this point is actually colder than most of the guidance, most of what the computer models are saying are actually warmer than what we have at 35. So if it's 38 and snowing, then it's even less of a problem. Okay, but the cold air does come in behind that. So Sunday into Monday, Tuesday, you have cold mornings. By Tuesday night into Wednesday, we start to make the turn, and Wednesday, we're back almost close to 50 degrees. So enjoy your Thanksgiving. We're at 42 degrees today. We'll call it a mix of clouds and sunshine, trying to be optimistic to get it partly cloudy out there for you. But what's the weather impact? Post-Thanksgiving cold. That is your weather impact with that snow chance on Saturday. So, you know, the dusting to an inch seems pretty likely for most of the area. Could there be some spots that get a little more? Yes, especially on the grassy areas. Is this expected to be a huge problem? No. We know Mizzou has a game, Arkansas coming up. Now, you may have some folks from Arkansas. You know, the folks in Arkansas ask MoDOT, the Arkansas Department of Transportation, asks MoDOT about how to handle roads in the snow. So if you have some friends from Arkansas, that's all you need to know. All right, a dusting to an inch possible. Should not be a big problem, but if you're traveling, going out to Columbia on Saturday for the game, you might want to leave a little sooner and allow some extra time and hope somebody's not driving 85 and, you know, hits a brief slushy spot somewhere and causes a big backup. So the other thing you're going to see this weekend on the car, I bet this weekend when those temperatures go down Sunday morning, Monday morning, if not sooner, down into the teens for some of us, we're probably looking at that air pressure, tire pressure light coming on. Check your tire pressure. You're going to need to put a little air in the tires. Drain the garden hose. You want to make sure that's drained and unhooked before we get to the really cold air on the weekend. And then this weekend, without a doubt, feels more like January than the end of November, the 1st of December, especially since we've been so spoiled through the month of November with such warm temperatures. So again, really the only big thing going on, and we put big in quotation marks, is that potential for snow. I think it's more of a scenic and fun thing here on Saturday than it is problematic with temperatures around or a little bit above freezing. But we'll keep tracking it and keep you updated here as we go through the remainder of this long holiday weekend. You know, it may mean you have to make if you were going back somewhere or coming back home from traveling, you may have to make some adjustments if you're planning to do that Saturday and you're in one of those colder spots where, you know, farther north and northwest of St. Louis where it might be a little more of an impact. I think we're pretty much in good shape with this.